Is there any technique that you recommend for people who want to call in more of their higher self, if you will, and to be, call in more of their soul power?
For sure. Get out of thought. Like, okay, so let me just demystify it once more, that the realm of thought is like entering into the mind, right? So the mind is a maze. So in this text, which is basically a reference to what goes on inside of the body, that people were confined to the mind, or the mind, to dig for gold. Okay, so that's the whole Sumerian story. And what's being presented is that basically that this mind, which is like a maze that we can dig deep into, that deep in our minds, we can bring out things that are gold, things that that the world's never seen before. See, like they say, there's nothing new under the sun. But like I said, we're literally time machines. So we bring in unique things into this space. And because this is a vessel that is nowhere near being filled, we bring our children, we bring our ideas, we bring all these things that the world has never seen before into this space. So we've bought our gold here. And generally, it takes us to dig into the depths of ourselves to reach it, whether it's a passion with another person, whether it's the struggle of building a company, et cetera, et cetera. So what happens is that now, when you enter this mind every day, it's just like that. It's like you're being conscribed to the minds. Now you must go down into this maze of darkness, et cetera. And this is how I find most people that deal with thought, because it's like an endless maze of more and more questions. And we just call that the quest. So then obviously somewhere in there's a minotaur, so as you're going down these corridors of the mind, right? So what happens is that there's a point where, and this is what I realized after like maybe 90 or almost 90 journeys on Diamond Tree, which is basically DMT, where I was just trying to defeat the monkey mind, defeat what happens when you get in these high vibration, this thing telling you you're going to die. And oh my goodness, we've never been this high before. This is ridiculous. And what is that I see over there? Don't look, close your eyes. Oh, that's even worse. Open your eyes. So it's like that whole, the monkey, I call it. I started after, 50 or 60. This is how long it takes for this thing to die sometimes. See, it's easier to do it in meditation because you haven't really added any like voltage to it. But when you take a bioethanogen, now, your chakras are on full spin. So we're going to see if that really worked out, what you needed to learn in meditation about quieting your mind. So that way you can tap into this infinite energy by getting rid of the whole division. But obviously that's easier said than done. So what happened was I actually gotten to a certain point of realizing that it was all going on when I kept engaging. Just like when you're like in a meditation, you think you see something, you're like, did you see that? And then the moment you snap out of that, you can't see it anymore. And that's just because you've engaged the R complex. This is what's actually happening. It's like a cog in the brain. And when you engage it, it actually moves backwards because it's connected with the primal side of self. That's why it's connected to the reptilian, the first strand of DNA. So when you engage that, it like turns the gear backwards, and that's not the direction you're looking at going. The frequency goes back down because it's more of a denser frequency. And now you're back to awareness again, but at least you landed. And that's where fear gets you, and language. So what I realized is that actually there was a whole nother level to where you could go even beyond by getting rid of the thoughts. Start realizing that it's much more easier to swim in deep water than it is in shallow. So there's nothing to be afraid of. If you trust yourself, you can actually let go. And then you get into this space to where, bam, you get into the all-knowing. Now, to try to explain the all-knowing is almost like an oxymoron. But what I'm working to tell people how to reach into this space is actually where the key to the perpetual energy inside of the body is. You literally feel the field of the body change into a different type of oscillation. I can't even say it's a direction. And this direction this field and how it changes, it taps the person into this more of this infinite stream of energy versus this confined kind of scarce energy. And, and that's the easiest way the easiest way that I can actually explain it. And so again, to answer the question, what is the most useful thing to do? Get out of thinking and get into knowing. And the easiest medication for that process and to get the deprogramming working properly is to get busy. Because what happens is that same thing, idle's mind is the devil's workshop, old statement, but it's actually really true. The more the mind has time to process, the more it's digging down the corridors to where it never found anything in the first place, and it's back going down those tunnels again. Get into the action by utilizing your hands, figuring out your uniqueness and discovering that. So basically being more active rather than going into the monkey mind and having those long stints of time where you're laying on the bed wondering if the world's going to be over, and this is,
right.
What I would think is the most useful thing now. And it's a process. It's almost even undistinguishable in the beginning, the difference between thinking versus knowing. And then also, I'm not saying that one is bad or good. Well, surely the all-knowing couldn't be a bad thing. But what I'm saying is that it starts to get you into the position of seeing yourself, going through all of the judgments, burning up precious fuel, and then not getting to the conclusion of what you really want because you've eliminated yourself from it. So this is what I say is standing in the way of yourself. So you're encouraged to get out of the way of yourself, give the opportunity to fully observe the situation rather than judging it first so you can see the other side of it. Getting familiar with that space where it doesn't require you to always give input, like to judge what it is, but just to observe it, like I'm saying. And then you get into this free-flowing space, which is the zone. The reason why I can connect this like all the way around is because, see, every time, like imagine if I'm saying something and I keep having thoughts. So these thoughts are going to interrupt me. So if I'm thinking something, but I keep having different thoughts, they're going to interrupt me. So this is the same thing as like a wheel starts turning and then it's got to stop. Wheel starts turning, then it's got to stop. Our mind is filled with that kind of activity all day, where it starts thinking something, then it goes to another thought, then it goes to another thought. So it's never really getting anywhere or any completion. It's not turning a complete wheel. So what the all-knowing does is it gives the mind the ability to basically take a chill pill. So that way you can start building up more energy like a thermometer. So you're never going to know the benefits of this in the beginning without doing it first. And that's the main thing to know is it's like you got to start doing it for at least a few days so you could start feeling the buildup of the energy. And then something weird happens. And this weirdness is that as the body begins to build energy, obviously, just like it's the chakra centers, the higher chakra centers start having the power to come online. And when the higher chakra centers start coming online, this increases the ability of perception and senses, like Superman. You increase the ability of hearing, sight, etc. And then what happens is that now you start to be able to witness how many things are really vying for your energy, especially now that you smell so good, meaning that once you start building energy, you start to really, when you're conscious of this, see how things are attracted to that energy. You start, you're just standing in line somewhere and the girl or the guy in front of you seems that they're super attracted to what you're doing. People are more nicer to you. Somebody's trying to piss you off all the time and it's just abnormal, but you realize all of this is connected. Just like a dog has very strong senses, everyone else's energy centers are very strong to find things that have more energy and how they can get that energy. So now that you see this working, because now this is what's called the Therian, because your intelligence is so high, you've actually outsmarted a lot of the base life forms and the base forms of existence. So it's easy to see their play, which becomes more confirming to you that, now that I'm building my energy, it seems like everything wants it. And the more of it I have, the more perceptive I am. Like I'm catching the subtle stuff that I normally don't see. In conclusion, what I'm saying is I'm saying that this is how you get into yourself. And literally that term, they say, hey, man, you need to get like what I'm saying, get into yourself instead of other things. Because you're literally pulling your energy back into your body and realizing that, hey, you know what? I am really important here in this whole thing. I really do owe myself to figure this out. And this gives you so much more power and so much more ability to make things happen in your own life. And that, of course, puts you in position to actually make things happen in others.